Ladies, gentlemen, let's talk about the Wurkkos TS23. First became aware of this from the guys from Wurkkos. It's a 21700 size battery that claims 5,000 lumens, 482 meters throw. Obviously it's high candela. The actual candela that's claimed escapes me, but big numbers. I'll test all those. Wanted to get a quick unbox, show you the modes and everything. The packaging is nice. It is understated. It's not wild and crazy, but very nice. Wurkkos has done some nice stuff. Comes with a lanyard and spare O-rings. It does have a little insulator between the battery and the contact that you're going to have to remove before you use the light. And the instruction manual is complete, although it seems rather bare bones. But what's really impressive about this is it gives you a flow chart. I will probably roll in the actual graphic of it. And this is a lot easier to me, at least to understand, than text. We'll talk about the actual flow chart in a second. The light itself, obviously, and this is a pretty good size light. I'll give you size and weight specs. Also roll those in. Comes with USB-C charging cable. But overall, not a ton of stuff, just the right amount of stuff in my opinion. So pretty nifty little light. And I say little, that's probably strong. This is more, I think, duty size light than full size or pocket light, although you could certainly use it in a pocket capacity. Has a dual position pocket clip, so you could certainly put it on a ball cap or something like that if you need a impromptu headlamp. USB-C charging port here at the back, so it charges via cable. You don't have to remove the battery. And the light here will be red when it is charging and turns green when it is fully charged. Takes me approximately 2 hours to go from 0 to fully charged. Now, if you're not really into reading documentation and you want the modes, I'm going to cover those in a second. Bezel's pretty good size. We've got little carbide beads on the corners for improved ability to break glass. I'm not going to test that on any of my glass, feel free. And as you might imagine, anything that has this level of claimed output obviously has a lot of claimed heat. So we've got these rings to kind of help disperse the heat that this thing creates. Now, it is currently in the outdoor mode. And so just to go through the modes, for one click, if you just click it on, it comes on. And I currently have it in the low mode. If you hold it, it will cycle through several of the modes. And that's moon, then it goes to eco, then low, then medium. I'm sorry, where are we at? Should be 5 of them. So, no, sorry, eco, low, medium, high, and then back to eco. So 4 modes from holding it on. I apologize. Now, if you want an even lower mode, if you hold it on when it is in the off position, that will take you to the even lower mode. This is, I think, 10 lumens. So the only way to get to that in the outdoor mode is just to hold it. But if you just click it normally, it's going to go to a higher mode. It does have mode memory, so if you turn it off and then turn it back on, it's going to keep whatever mode you had it set in. That's the outdoor mode. Now, in the outdoor mode, if you double click, you're going to get turbo. That's the 5,000 lumens. If you double click it again, it's going to go back to the moonlight, the lowest 10 lumens. Now, either on or off, does not matter. If you go to 3 clicks, it starts with strobe. So you get the strobe, 3 more clicks goes to SOS, and then 3 more clicks goes to the beacon where it just gives you a flash every few seconds. So that's the 3 clicks mode. We'll turn it back off. Now, if it's off and you do 4 clicks, 1, 2, 3, 4, it'll give you a quick double flash like that. I'm locked out. So if I turn it on, it's just going to give me that little quick flashy. If I hold it, it will give me the moonlight, but it goes immediately off. So I wouldn't call it a 100% lockout, but it really kind of saves you from yourself. Like if this is in your pocket, it'll keep you from roasting your delicates. And then if you turn it 1, 2, 3, 4 to go back to turning it back on, if you, while it is on, you do 4 clicks, 1, 2, 3, 4, now it is in the tactical mode. And in tactical mode, If you're going to use this for work-related purposes, if I turn it on, it goes straight to the high, which is what I would want in a tactical flashlight. Now, it's the same thing. If you have it off and you hold it, you can get your really, really low. So it's still the moonlight. It's still available to you in the tactical mode. And if you want somewhere in between, once you turn it on, if you hold it, it'll step down to medium, but it never steps down any lower than medium. And then if you hold it again, you're going to go back to turbo. And you still have double click gets you strobe. There, sorry, 2 clicks gets you SOS. And then 2 more clicks is going to get you your beacon. And then I think if you turn it on, do that, it just goes right back to the normal on mode. And then 4 clicks once again, if it's off, we'll lock it out. 4 clicks when it's on, we'll cycle back to the outdoor mode. That's a lot. The flow chart, like I said, if you look at the flow chart, it describes it adequately. Probably, I don't know that you're going to need to use all of those modes for your day-to-day. Probably you're going to pick the mode that is most applicable to you. Like for me, I'd probably want to keep it in tactical, which means if I turn it on, boom, I get all the light. And then if I need to cycle through other modes, but I always want to go to that highest mode for tactical use. And for outdoor, if I went back to outdoor, maybe I want to just keep it in medium or something like that. But there are a lot of modes there if you need them. But the good news is if you don't need all those modes, there's certainly, you don't have to mess with them. So an interesting thing about this, I'm going to do some beam shots. I'm going to do some testing on the actual output. I'm going to get back to you with all of that. So stand by for all of that. But thus far, I really like the modes. I like the mode selection, and I like the flow chart. Flow chart stuff is good for my very simple brain. Stay tuned. Okay, so a quick set of indoor beam shots. The near wall is 4 yards away, far wall is 10 yards away. This is the moonlight or lowest setting. So it works pretty good indoors. And then if we go to the low, we see that. And then if we go to the medium, pretty good light, pretty good spill. And then high, quite a good amount of light for indoors. And then if I go to turbo, much, much brighter. Now, this is 5,000 lumens, guys. And I've heard people say too bright. I still don't find this too bright. It's just a lot of light. I'm not blind. I can still work with what I'm doing. Let's talk about outdoors next. Near outdoors, the tree line's about 20 yards away. If I go into the lowest setting, you're not going to see it much. But then if I go to actual low, I've got a little bit, medium, a little bit more, high. I'm starting to actually see it. So when you're dealing with something like 20 yards, and then there is turbo, which is a ton of light. All right, the far signs out in the distance are about 180 yards. If you can see where that car is coming right there, it's about 180. So once again, here's the lowest. You can see some of it on the fence. That's 10 lumens. You're not going to get much with this. And there's a deer. Hey, I don't know if you can see it, but a deer just ran by. And then if we go to low, low looks like this. So once again, we've got a little bit. And then medium, pretty good. You can start to see that street sign out there, the reflection. And then was that high? No, I'm sorry, that was medium. That's high. So pretty good. And then if we go to turbo, yeah, that's a ton of light, a ton of output. So too bad that I didn't catch the deer, but you can see the street sign very easily. I think the stop sign's actually obscured by the tree at this point. It's kind of overgrown. And there's a car past it. You can sort of see the front license plate on it. That is a ton of light. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk very quickly about the Wurkkos TS23. I didn't know what to expect when I got this light. The claimed outputs were crazy. But let me give you the bottom line up front before I get into thoughts and things like that. This light tested higher in terms of output than any other light I have ever tested at any price point. Now, that doesn't mean there's something out there that's not brighter, but in this form factor, something that could conceivably go in your pocket, although it is a little chunky for pocket, but on a belt if you work in some sort of police or military capacity, purse, pouch, something like that. Something in this size, this puts out way more light than anything else of its ilk that I have tried out. The claimed output is 5,000 lumens. It didn't quite get there. Remember, my testing facility uses a styrofoam cooler. It's cheap. this still put out every bit of 4,500 lumens and 52,000 candela in my testing. Now, like I said, cheap light meter, cheap setup. The amount of light this thing puts out is off the charts for me. What's more interesting is that if I let this light stay on for a long period of time, every single light that uses LEDs in a cell like this has a step down. In other words, it starts to get warm and it starts to reduce the light output to save the light from burning out or you from melting your life. Even after it stepped down and I had this thing on for several minutes, it was still putting out every bit of 1,500 lumens, which some lights start at before they start stepping down. So even when it's fully reduced down to a capacity that is where it's probably going to stay for hours, it's still putting out a ton of usable light, more so than any other light that I've seen in this size. And when it was at its peak in terms of temperature, it was still very manageable in terms of heat. Like you could put your hand anywhere on it and you wouldn't burn it. The highest temperature I saw in my temperature testing was about 108 degrees. Warm to the touch, but nowhere close to burning. Like not for anyone, not if you have heat adjusted hands or you have very delicate hands, that 108 degrees is not gonna burn you. So I think that their temperature regulation scheme that's built into this thing is pretty legit. I think that it is very suitable for a more tactical application, which is how they're billing it. And I really don't hate it for that. I think I'm gonna start carrying it at work actually. And that may seem a little crazy given the fact that I normally carry a higher dollar light on my belt for work. But this thing is pretty neat. And in the tactical mode, it's very simple to operate, which I really appreciate. But it has more modes if you want them. So I like that, like my brain likes that, like simple when I need it, but complicated if I gotta go down that road. And so from that perspective, I like it a lot as well. It's easy to charge, it's easy to carry. It does not hurt your bank account. Like seriously, the price on these things is ridiculous and there are almost always coupons. If there's a deal that I'm aware of on this, I will include it in the most applicable places for you to look. But seriously, for the money, for its size, its weight, and everything, this light, I don't think it can be beaten right now, at least as of this video. I'm really pretty impressed with this light. I will finish this here. I'm not going to go on at length, but if you're so inclined to pick one up, I don't think you'll be disappointed. And to the guys at Wurkkos, thanks for letting me try this out. I was really impressed. You guys continue to do some interesting things. Guys, if you enjoyed this video or you like equipment reviews, things like that, if you subscribe, you're gonna see more of the same. I seem to have become the flashlight test channel lately because a lot of manufacturers have become aware of what I'm doing and I'm getting a lot of product to try out. If you've made it this far and you enjoyed this video, or even if you tolerated it, hitting the like as well would be appreciated. I will end this here. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Take care, stay safe. I'll talk to you soon.
Get 'em, Jay.